I've talked a lot of smack about the chainsaw, yet I've seen plenty of commenters who still somehow consider the chainsaw to be a good melee weapon. Now I'm not sure why. The main reason I hear are 6 things. 1. The chainsaw is the easiest melee to cut the smoker's tongue. Yes it is, but y'all are some hypocrites. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, I get to say skill issue now, because I know damn well this shouldn't be an upside if every other melee can do this. But that's my point. Why even use the melee to kill the smoker when you could just use your primary, and it's just as easy if not easier than using the chainsaw or any other melee. Using your melee to cut the smoker's tongue is just showing off. And guess what? You can only do this if you already have the chainsaw out and revved up. God forbid you don't have it ready. Yeah, the chainsaw is good at cutting the smoker's tongue, but so is everything else. 2. The chainsaw is good at killing the witch. Is that so?
Told you not to.
Get your hand near that mouth. He's just a baby.
Yeah, you can, but you need monk type training to perform the solo melee beatdown. I've said it a million times on expert realism that
shit can't fly!
It flew.
anything besides expert realism makes the witch a big joke. You don't need the chainsaw to kill her when you could do it instantly with a shotgun. You can do it with the chainsaw, but why? You know how many things can go wrong by doing that? And besides, you can only do that if the witch is standing up, while with almost any other method of killing the witch, you could do it with both. So already, this one upside isn't as good as the other methods of killing the witch.
Number 3.
The chainsaw does a lot of damage to the tank. I don't get this argument, since all melees do a lot of damage to the tank. And the problem with this is that there's only two scenarios where this could come into play. The first is when someone's being pummeled by the tank, and the second is you kiting the tank with the chainsaw. Both scenarios are the worst case scenarios, and the second requires luck and skill, since you can only kite the tank when there's no other infected around. The reality is, once you're done chainsawing the tank and watching your team get pounded, you either be out of gas or half out. Meanwhile, any other melee can kill the tank just as fast and still be useful for the rest of the campaign. And besides, you can do the melee trick to swing faster if you're so keen on killing the tank with the melee so fast. 4. Good at dealing with hordes. Well, this is true when you find yourself in the right spot, but the moment you find yourself surrounded, you're gonna want the melee's arch to hold you down. And guess what? The gas will run out before the horde ends. 5. It's good at killing the jockey. I mean, so is the AK. So is every other gun in the game if you know how to aim for the head. 6. The chainsaw attracts the aggro of the infected, so it can be used to manipulate the tanks in the comments. Look man, I've got hundreds of hours of footage and an entire video about the tank's nonsense. You want to try and figure out what will happen if you try to manipulate the tanks with the chainsaw? Then be my guest. Plus, there's an easier way to do this with the turret. And the turret is much more consistent than the chainsaw. The argument with the chainsaw will always be the same. It's a melee with ammo. And if you wanted a melee with ammo, then why not go with the deagle? The chainsaw is much like the M60. You pick it up and use it when it's around. If there is no horde coming or there isn't a situation where you need it, you'll never hold on to it. The damage resistance passive that the chainsaw has only works when you're holding down mouse 1 and with common infected. This has always stood out as odd to me, and I'm surprised that no one else agrees with me on this. What do the survivors have when holding down mouse 1 with a chainsaw? Invisible armor? The infected have a secret passive of resistances like the charger charging. The survivors getting a damage reduction is only with the chainsaw, and the only other example I could think of is a zombie hitting you behind. It's just so strange in a game like Left 4 Dead 2. It's supposed to be somewhat realistic. The chainsaw seems to be the only weapon that does this in the entire game. It's just a strange melee weapon, and it's nonsense. By far, the biggest weakness that no one talks about is the friendly fire. Remember that normal melees have a hard time friendly firing due to how the hit rays work, while the chainsaw is kind of the opposite. It's pretty easy to friendly fire with this thing, and most of the time, it's not your fault. Mounted guns should be renamed to mounted
Lemons, get mad!
The problem with mounted guns is that they're never in a useful spot. Most of the time, you'll have more zombies sneaking up behind you than the zombies in front of you. I'm not sure why this seems to be the main issue with the turreted weapons, but the moment you start using it, it seems like the zombies start spawning behind you. And this isn't the only problem with the turreted weapons. When using it, you're vulnerable and can't turn around without getting off the turret turret first. So essentially, you're leaving your bots to cover you, and we all know how that'll end. And that's another problem with the mounted turrets, the bots. If the turret is placed on a flat area, the bots will do a dolphin dive into a mounted turret. Now, I'm not sure if the other meme mentioned this in his bot video. This is nonsense. If you played by a mountain, God forbid, there's a part of the map where juggling the tank's aggro is needed to kill multiple tanks. No matter how many tanks, they will always focus the player on the mounted turret. The only way to bypass this hardcore aggro is to use the melee on the tank, or stand next to him long enough. Both mounted guns have different timers to when they overheat. The minigun takes about 20 seconds of constant fire to overheat, while the HMG takes 15 seconds. Now both seem to serve different purposes, but let's be real, the OG minigun is the better mounted gun, without a doubt. It just lasts longer. For one, it has a better bullet spread, to the point where you could kill anything when pointing in its general direction of the crosshair, while the other minigun requires you to somewhat aim. And to be fair, the game tries to even this out with the HMG doing more damage per shot. The minigun variant is in more maps than the other mounted gun. The mounted gun only makes 4 appearances in the entire Left 4 Dead 2 campaign, which to me, now that I actually have searched their locations, is insane. Remember, the Left 4 Dead 2 trailer just shows Rochelle mowing down an entire horde with bullets from the freaking mounted gun, but not really killing any zombies. That just proves that this gun is horrible. Similar to Valve campaigns, custom maps take the horrible turret placements to another level. All of these zombies are attacking you from behind as soon as you touch the minigun. I swear, it's a hidden property of the turret. When using them, zombies have like an 80% chance of spawning behind you. It's like a hidden passive. Some custom maps have really cool turret placements, like riding and gunning at the same time. Part of me wishes that the official campaigns did something like this. Maybe the turrets wouldn't be so forgettable if they did something similar to what custom maps do. I mean, think about it. How many times have you seen a turret be used in anything besides campaigns? Competitive players wouldn't even dare to touch the turrets with a 10-foot pole. Some custom map creators just straight up give up and throw the turret in the middle of a map so that zombies can hit you from 360-degree angle. That's how much they've given up on the idea of the turreted weapons being useful. Now, instantly, I already know the comment section is going to be like, wait, turrets are tier 3? To that, I say, what one-shot's common affected while having no way to refill ammo and while attracting a tank for some unknown reason? Yeah, that's right, turrets are tier 3. You can tell by how weird they are, just like the other tier 3 weapons. The M60 has so much going against it that it may as well be
No good if it hit him.
That's right, it should have been one of those loading screen weapons and nothing more. The M60 has 150 rounds of ammunition. In essence, that means it can only kill 150 zombies, since one bullet insta kills a zombie. The problem is that most of the time, you kill that many zombies in a single chapter. I'm not talking about the entire team's kills summed up. I'm talking about individual survivors killing that many zombies in one chapter. The reality of the M60 is that it does not reward enough for what you're risking. You're essentially giving up your reliable primary for a couple of seconds of feeling like Rambo. This is only worsened with the easier difficulties, since tier 2 weapons insta-kill the common infected already. The only times it becomes real hard to deal with common infected is on expert or expert realism. But dealing with the common infected isn't the only thing your primary is for. It needs to be good at killing tanks, special infected, and even witches. The AK already does what the M60 does, but without the ammo problems. Both inaccurate, have terrible bullet spread, and the AK is better at killing tanks. Not to mention, even if you get the laser sight upgrade, you'll lose it for the rest of the game with the frickin' M60. Wow. Is that a downside or what? Imagine your friends running around with laser sights for the rest of the game while you lost your laser sights to a single horde. And remember, ammo upgrades don't help with the ammo problem this weapon has, which is even more confusing to me. Every other gun gets free ammo off of it. Why doesn't the M60? Valve must have really thought this weapon was going to be the buff banner of this game. Even when it comes to killing tanks, this weapon is subpar compared to other guns. The M60 is just too situational. Its only use is to lay down the lead when a horde is coming. Having the ability to one-shot comms is not that special. And having not to reload is not that special either. Running out of gas when you need it the most, not that special. The fact that it's rare proves that it's bad because Valve wants nothing but the player to forget that this thing exists. Special tier? Damn, not even the wiki considers these guns as an official tier 3. In my eyes, the grenade launcher is the best tier 3 weapon compared to its peers. and to be honest, it doesn't have much competition. It's also the weapon with the high skill ceiling without a doubt, which is pretty insane since it's a grenade launcher and you'd think it'd be pretty easy to use, but it's not. Most people pick this up and try to instantly use it on a horde, only to fail and kill only a couple of zombies. You have to somewhat aim with this thing and jump to get the right angle to hit the entire horde. If you're a master, this can clear entire hordes pretty easily. Pair this with the deagle and it could last for a long time. That's right, the grenade launcher is the only tier 3 weapon that'll last longer than a minute. Grenade launcher really shines when you've got the high ground and can launch it right in the middle of a horde. Not only does this thing kill the zombie, but it also stumbles them. The cool part is that it can also stagger special infected, which guess what? Remember what y'all were saying about the chainsaw stopping smokers? Well, so is the grenade launcher, because it staggers the smoker. It even staggers the witch. This thing is nuts. Why is everyone saying the chainsaw is good? The grenade launcher is where it's at. The grenade launcher is so good that Vermintide 2 straight up copied it and stole it and ran with it. Landing a direct hit with the grenade launcher on the tank does insane damage. Yeah, that's right, 1,000 damage. Now, as good as this weapon is, it's still a tier 3 weapon, which means it has insane downsides. For starters, grenade launcher has a very long reload animation. 3 full seconds just to reload one grenade. For reference, it takes 4 seconds to reload a shotgun from empty to full. Mix that with the deagle, you're going to be reloading a lot with this combo. Is that it doesn't really combo well with anything else but the deagle. Yeah, you can have a melee with the grenade launcher, but you'll have trouble with special infected. It comes to close encounter, since friendly fire is a thing, do self damage. No matter if you shove an infected, it will scratch you back no matter what. Another problem with the grenade launcher is close quarters areas. Now you're really going to have friendly fire problem. Laser sight upgrade also does nothing for the grenade launcher. Now ammo upgrades are a different case. Fire rounds actually last forever, which is weird because for normal weapons they don't. And explosive rounds just increase the one-shot radius. Real reason why this thing is so good is the exploits you can do with it. If you shoot the grenade launcher right below teammates, you can launch them straight up into the air, TF2 style. Of course, to the naked eye, this looks like death. Before the Last Stand patched out most god spots, this thing was the solution to getting those high scores in survival. Way back before the Last Stand update, you were able to continue past survival map invisible barriers. This glitched out Left 4 Dead 2 so hard to proceed through the entire campaign survival mode backroom style. When we were kids, we would do this glitch all the time and try to see how far we could go into the campaign before the game completely stopped us. The Last Stand couldn't stand the exploit, so they were all patched out. That doesn't stop this thing from being a good example of what a tier 3 weapon should be. Despite its pretty bad drawbacks, it's still relatively useful and does not instantly run out of ammo and has multiple uses. The problem I've always had with tier 3 weapons, or special tier weapons, whatever they're supposed to be called, is that they're supposed to be the next step from tier 2. But in most cases, they're the worst weapons in the entire game. Despite what the grenade launcher can do, even if you learn how to use it, chances are in versus you're going to gravitate towards a sniper, which can instantly kill specials, and the comments die instantly from everything else. Only reason why the grenade launcher shines is the fact that it can be used to exploit the game, which since the Last Stand dropped and patched out most god spots means that not even the fans think this is how the weapon was supposed to be used. They're all disappointing and useless. If you were to delete these weapons out from the game, nothing of value would be lost. Special tier or tier 3 should be just renamed to tier 0 because there's zero reason to use these weapons. And they ruined the tier progression. Tier 1 to 2 is a perfect progression system. Then tier 3 is like a giant step backwards. I'm starting to think that Valve added tier 3 just to troll us. And that's nonsense.